Alright, well that's not cool. That is the second time my computer has crashed this morning, and I'm not happy. It's actually kind of nerve-wracking. I just got this new computer about a month ago. 2 months ago? So I'm not looking forward if it's already going. And I was actually really enjoying this, so I really need to start saving my games more often. Not cool. Okay, well, I am going to be right back. I'm going to try and catch it back up. So yeah, I will be right back. Alright, I am back. We are going to skip through this as quickly as we can. And I am going to hope, pray, whatever you want to say, that the computer does not freeze and crash again. That's the second time it's crashed this morning, and I'm not happy. I just got this computer like 2 months ago. Well, at least I can change the last name now, right? So, what should the last name be? No, I think I like the black hair the best. Let's name him Jamie. Mr. Jamie. Jamie Noel. Jamie Noel. Why not? Let's give him blue eyes. Some rosy cheeks. Sure, he's wearing pants. Oh, a shirt. Done. There we go. So let's hit the save button because the computer has already crashed twice today. And let's get back to where we were. I'm going to try and pick the same options that I picked earlier. Want to have the same result. Okay. So we get to meet Cole's creepy dad who's trying to pay off people. Okay, so I think this was where we were roughly, so I'm just gonna make a quick save again. Overwrite the save. And if the computer crashes again, I am so sorry. I will probably shut down the stream for the day if it does, and try and figure out what's going on with the computer. And probably come back on later today or tomorrow. But let's hope it doesn't do it again. Okay, so it won't be so bad, even if it's just for the summer. That'd be enough. That only made this sound even more strange to you. Why does it lasting for the summer matter? When it was clear his strategy wasn't going to fly, he tucked the bill back into his back pocket and changed the request. I get it. You don't have to. Would you be comfortable with he and I coming by for a normal visit? No money involved? We're 8, so you would have to ask my mums. His smile got bigger again, his eyes crinkled at the sides. Of course, they invited us over earlier, but I would like to ask you too. Then I guess you can? I'll bring him by tomorrow. I wanted him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but, well, I don't know where he's gone off to. He laughed when he said that, but with the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. If you see him, can you tell him to come on home? He's got a pink cast and glasses. You can't miss him. Okay, I can try. You nodded, not totally certain that you'd find Cove, but willing to look. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing so, and then pulled his hand away instead. Yeah, you shouldn't be touching other people's children. That's just creepy. Your moms are already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Now I better go look too. Can't for everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought he might come back and, well, that's not what's important. I have to go. Thanks again, Jamie. So much. He jogged off down the street without another word. You decide to check the hills behind your house. Step 1. First sight. Alright. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous that the computer's gonna crash again. But what are you gonna do? The chirping of the crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of waves on the shore, and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. You know, I didn't even check to see if my stream is in the right category. Oh no. Okay, well let's double check that, right? Okay, we're good. Okay, good. Just want to make sure. From the top of the hill, you could see the ocean as you walked. You listened to the crash of waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. You love to hear the stories about the sea, about the mirror folks and the sea serpents you imagine living far beneath the waves. Sometimes you could almost convince yourself you had seen the flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. So is this the kid, Cove? There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden with the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. Why do I feel like he's, like, bullied or something? Like, this is gonna be sad. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him with a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you found a deer in the wild. Good enough. Enough. Blah, blah, blah. Though deer didn't have to. I think the green hair would stand out the most for me. Especially at such a young age, right? After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, then another, and then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show him you weren't scary. Hi! Aw- Probably just super awkward or something like, hi. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hi. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands falling into fists at his sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He's, he's been crying. There were traces of the tears on his cheeks and his knees soaking the hem of his shorts. And his eyes are still shining with a few more. You obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had said struck out at you. Cove? Eh? Eyes wide, he studied you. How do you know that? I met your dad. Oh, why so sad? So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. I can't own a hill. Why not? How could you? You just do. I had a hill back home. Well, this still isn't mine. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. Aww. Pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers, too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped from Cove as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they never stopped, his tears started up again with a, "Aw, my parents. They don't want to live together with me anymore." Tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave and he took me with him, and now we have a house here and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. Aw. I hate this place. I want my real life. Why would you hate the beach? Like, I get it. You're 8. You're probably missing your friends and what you're used to, but it's the beach. I want my mom. Aww. So he probably actually just really misses his mom more than he does, like, his home. Like, his old home, anyway. I'm just gonna... Yes, I'm sorry. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long, crying fit. He felt bad for him being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. When I was growing up as a child, I actually, we moved around quite a bit. My mother liked to move us like 3 times a year. It was always within the same city, but it was always within a different school board. So I was always in a new home. and always going to a new school and having to make new friends. It was not easy. And by sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, it actually got to the point where I didn't even bother to socialize with people anymore because we would just be moving again in like 3 months anyway. So what would be the point, right? But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Jamie! That'll be the mom's voice, okay? Jamie! Cove? Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here. I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. You know, I'm gonna encourage him. It'll be okay. You're struck by a sudden need to reassure Cove. It's not gonna all be fun, but isn't he your family too? Yeah, I guess. Then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked towards the sound of his dad's voice. Silent, then turned away while rubbing his not bandaged arm. Sorry, I still don't want to go. You know what? We can wait a little longer. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you can answer, you heard Cove's dad, even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all of their eyes landed on you and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Oops. Jamie, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier, so when you met the new neighbor, I thought you might have gone off further away. Oh, I feel like I just want to be honest and be like, Cove didn't want to go home yet, but... And you know what's funny? I'm just noticing the color thing now that they talked about in the tutorial, and I have no idea. I don't remember what they mean. And you know what? I don't care. Because I just want to play the game I want to play, right? So, you know what? I'm growing up. We're 8 years old. We're okay. Don't worry. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? He looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. I wonder what his deal is with his dad. Like, he misses his mom, I get it, but why does he not like his dad? You're 8. That's really going far out there. I'll just say, yeah, I like him. You nodded, smiling slightly. Finally letting go of his squirming son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you. Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Jamie knows this whole area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove. Oh. Bye, Cove. It was nice meeting you. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading towards the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper play date tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? See, now they both need a different voice. I just don't know which mummy is talking first. I'll just, yeah. Both of your moms laugh, sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mummy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you follow them home. Choose your feeling for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove for this step. It could change in later steps. Okay. You know, I'll click relax. Do I have to click another one or? You know, we're relaxed, but we're indifferent, right? Yeah, that sounds good. Wow, we made it through step 1 already. I guess we made it through step 1 already. It didn't feel like we did, but we'll see. Make sure to save it. Okay. Early the next morning, you were poking at your food, eating it slowly. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Yay, a new friend! Excited to see your new friend again, Janie? Maybe we can become friends. With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Yeah. With all the aspiration an 8-year-old can muster, you looked at your empty cereal bowl, then at Mom. Okay, attitude kid, we see. Good job. He should be here soon. This mother is way too excited. Like, cleanup began, and then on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Jamie, can you go get that? Because Mom said so, you wandered over to the door. Hey, Noel family. Thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying, with his dad standing in front of him and Mom and Mummy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. You studied Cove. This was the parents' plan, not yours. Oh, yeah, that's true. They're forcing us into a play date here. Not seeming any more excited than you were, he just stared back. Do you want to go play in your room, JD? Sure. Come on, it's upstairs. Okay. Cove seems like one of those, like, possible future emo boys where they're just like, okay, like, Or maybe that's just a typical teenage thing, right?
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, so a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You haven't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you're really proud of it. You leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Thank you. You're welcome. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. I'm just hoping he likes the room. You had put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. You hoped he did. You hope he didn't say anything bad about it. Then his eyes landed on a tiny box of beach things you've collected, tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A, a hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh,
Do you have any driftwood in here? In there? Why driftwood? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Ko flopped down next to it. I think so, yeah, see? You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand.
neat.
Neat. This is a good collection. Yeah, that's typical. That is a typical 8-year-old boy thing to say, like, ooh, nice box of stuff. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he was just saying it to be nice or to be like Shiloh. Shiloh. Or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. Alright, I almost forgot. Shiloh is gonna be here today. What? Shiloh or Shiloh? Shiloh. Shiloh? Lizzie's friend. Oh, Shiloh, okay. Or like her number one fan, I guess.
Hmm.
Do I have to see him? He should be okay. I mean, he's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but you know. Come on, check out my shells some more. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that had washed ashore, and you pulled out the seashell after seashell, explaining where you got in each one, holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange ones too. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Oh, over the past few years, you've even learned some of the scientific names. The collection was so huge and varied that you had lots of funny stories to tell. Your voice faltered a little bit, but you kept going as best as you could. Kind of like how I'm doing right now, right? You were really proud of your shell collection, and it made you happy that Cove was interested in it too. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, cells, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus, even if it was only directed at the shells. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making Mama happy, but Mummy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Oh yeah, probably. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. Why are we being deposited into the living room? The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. You know what? That's fine. It's great. Bust it open. We can keep looking while we wait. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. You know what? You can have it. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? Uh-huh. But I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. Well, that's the point. It's a gesture of good faith. You know what? I'm gonna insist. No, it's okay. It's for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his side. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. If Cove was your neighbor now, maybe you could give it to him another time? Aw, the two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. He'll be alright. He's here. We can't let him leave. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked onto the back of the house. I can go out the window. Why does he not want to meet this person? He was already walking towards it, scrambling to think of something to say. He stepped forward, then paused. Oh, choices. I'm gonna do some toughness here. Do you want to break your other arm? Even I don't jump out of any of the windows here, and this is my house. The distance from the first floor living room window wasn't far, but you could tell it made Cove nervous anyway. He touched the cast on his arm. The wind had clearly released from his sails. I don't want to break any more bones. I don't think anybody wants to. Yeah. But I don't want to see him. I don't know him. I'm gonna comfort him. It's okay if you're worried. Nobody warned you this was gonna happen. Thanks. Shiloh poked his head into the living room. It was impossible to know for sure if he heard what you've been saying or not, but you guessed that he had. Hi, Jamie. Yeah, I'd be nervous to meet the kid, too. And hi, Cove? Cove shot you an uneasy glance. Hi. I'm Shiloh. It's nice to meet you. Yeah. You have a lot of freckles. Yeah, that's a weird thing to say. Right, I do. What are you guys doing? We're looking at shells. Aw, he wants to join us. He just wants to be friends. Cove shrugged and looked back at your box of beach findings. What about that one? The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach thing some more. Pretty boring afternoon, but you weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else. Hey, check out this scallop shell I found. Cool, right? It's a pretty color. Kinda like my cast. Aww. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay. Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green? Or blue? It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool! Shiloh, calm down. You're trying too hard.
I
Yeah. I like those colors too. Awesome. Of course it's awesome. Why wouldn't it be awesome? Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know. Aww. Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach, probably. Is she playing at the park? At her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park. He looked towards you. There's a park? Yeah, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do too, right, Jamie? The park is fun. The park is pretty great. It's right at the beach, so there's a lot of fun stuff to do and lots of sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. That sounds like it could be cool. So are we gonna go find Lizzie? I don't know. I never wanted to see her. I just want to check out the park. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. That is true. Alright, you guys. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. I need a drink and a washroom break. So I will be right back. Do, do, do. Alright. Let's continue where we left off, eh? Whew. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you are ready to head out. We're about to head to the beach. Well, the park. The park at the beach. Whew. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced her moms that it was so short she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie! Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Jamie! Shiloh! Hi. She dropped to the ground, landed with a soft thud in the sand. A split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to her stand by her side. I wonder if Shiloh actually had a crush on your sister, Lizzie. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cove was there. You weren't sure if this was an improvement. Who's that? She looks like she has a little bit of an attitude, doesn't she? It's Cove. He's new. I remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured wildly with her arm, as if to present the area to the newcomer. Like, oh my god, this is our park. Without interrupting Lizzie's speech, Cove whispered in your ear quiet enough that the others wouldn't overhear. Ooh. I thought kids couldn't own places like parks or hills. You couldn't help but to laugh a little bit. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wiggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are? Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? A little hair flick. Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom says, you're about Jamie's age. Yeah. Thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. What about other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here. And Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth. Oh. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted, and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids, they hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Stop. You interjected quickly, hoping Cove wouldn't start crying again. He sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Stop upsetting him. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I met Lizzie and Jamie in school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer is over. I don't want to go to school. Or, I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove. I like summer vacation a lot, too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. As Shiloh's discomfort at how weird she thought Cove was as something else entirely. You didn't really know. But she laughed, face scrunching up. Welcome to Sunset Bird, Cove. Take a seat, purr up your feet, get used to it. Is right. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh. And on some days, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. That first summer, you hadn't really been interested in him one way or another. He was just kind of a fact of life. Someone you met with because he was there. Of course, that was only the start of things. Moment select. Ooh, we get to pick. What do we want to pick? Can we see? I don't know if I can just click it and see if it. Oh, I want to save. Okay, save. I don't know if I can click it and that's all I get, or if I get a little detail about it. So what do I want to do? I don't know. You know what? Let's go with fireflies. Yeah, let's see it. Alright, tonight we're gonna catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Macaroni. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? They hadn't answered for sure yet, but if that's what Lizzie said you would do, that's probably what you would end up doing. Lizzie was an expert at getting her way, having mastered the art of it by the time she could talk. That's a good idea. Lizzie, can we, Mrs. Knoll? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. And normally she would pick him up by now. She called before dinner to let my mom know she would be late. You didn't hear why, but probably more work things. He thought maybe getting the hang out with Shiloh for a little longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you're pretty sure she got your mums to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom that best puppy dog eye she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while waiting there for their response. Like, I can't even picture that. Like, what? Just, please, Mommy. Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look. The mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes. Fine, fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. Like, you should know this by now. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mummy used to read sometimes. Lizzie and Shiloh started digging into their food, and it soon became a race to see who could finish their dinner first. Ew.
Isn't that great?
Aren't you excited to go outside and play, Jamie? You gave a non-committal shrug. Ugh. Sure, I guess. I don't know. Damien's just mad because I always catch the most. Lizzie boasted proudly, her mouth full of food. And Mum gave her a stern look. Oh, let's try that again. Jamie's just jealous. Wait, how do you do that full of food? Jamie's just jealous. I catch the mouse. Yeah, I guess so. That's close. Elizabeth. A knock on the door interrupted Mum before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. Oh my god, stranger danger! Huh? You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Cove. Your mummy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Cove? You had no idea why he was here all of a sudden, but you suppose it wasn't worth worrying over. Instead, your eyes landed on Lizzie, who was looking at Cove like he had come here specifically to ruin all her plans. Then, for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mummy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of its large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye. Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms, lifted her chin. Cove shrugged and Mom stood from the table. I'll give your dad a call to let him know that you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mummy closed the door behind him. Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Cove, are you gonna come catch fireflies with us? You can see Lizzie's eyes eyeing you for mentioning the exclusion to an outsider, but she got over it, or she would get over it anyway. If Cove said no, you understand though. Catching fireflies wasn't something that everyone liked to do. I want to see them. I never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. Fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been anywhere he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. Why do I feel like he's lying, like his dad forgot to feed him or something? Or he was too busy. What did you have? Eggs. See, that's weird. Why eggs? clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions, his eyes slowly wandering back to the last scraps of his food. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure. Oh, fun! This will be so nice. As you polished off your meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door like always, right? Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh. By the time you walked outside, you pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get further and further away. You're so slow, Jamie. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still waiting, walking at a relaxed pace. Oh, I'm not gonna run off. That's mean. I'm not gonna do that either. That's just, that's cruel. I'm gonna walk with him. He needs a friend. You suppose there wasn't really any real hurry, and you knew it would be bad to leave him behind intentionally. Or entirely. The two of you followed after the footsteps Lizzie and Shiloh left behind until you reached the hill behind your house. Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle. Upon seeing the gently glowing, winking lights, he moved a bit faster, eyes widening in delight. Wow. Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys! It's really great out, huh? See how many there really are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green hand. Head. Sea green head! It's probably not nice to laugh, but covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. What? Oh, look, Lizzie has one. That's amazing. Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozen of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. I have a bandage? Why do I have a bandage on my hand? Oh, okay. Interesting. You were good at not getting cuts or scratches, so you weren't too worried about that. Spotting one close by, you approach it with assassin-like self, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up toward it, arms outstretched. You close your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, and you stare down at it. You stare down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickling your skin, and you giggle at the sensation. I've never actually caught a firefly in my life. I hardly ever see them, to be honest. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Oh. Aww. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. Aww. You'll get the next one. Cove didn't say anything, and you thought he must be upset. You walked further up the hill to continue his hunt, and you let your own firefly flutter back into the air. That was fine. You had your own plans. I'm just gonna sit in the grass and watch. The others were jumping and dashing all about. You saw how many times they succeeded and failed, how Shiloh almost tripped a couple of times. It was a dramatic show. Though around you it was calm, the lights of the stars and the fireflies surrounded you peacefully. It was a beautiful night. You laughed quietly to yourself as you watched the others, and Shiloh finally managed to catch a firefly between his small hands. I can feel the summer coming to an end. Like, I feel like it's almost at the end of the summer. His eyes lit up, and when he spread his fingers to take a peek at it, the bug escaped and flew off into the air. Oh no! Oh! You watch as he pounced after it once more, but your eyes soon landed on Cove, who had failed to catch a firefly yet. I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna wait it out and see what happens. You watched as he crept up on an unexpected bug, so slowly that for a moment you wondered if he was still moving. Then he raised his hand towards one of the little bobbing balls of light, closing in on it ever so slowly. No! The crafty little creature had escaped his clutches at the last moment, drifting too high up for Cove to reach. While Cove returned hunting fireflies, you settled for laying back against the soft grass, watching the poppies swaying around you and the fireflies hovering against the vast sky. Oh, this place sounds peaceful. Like, I want to go. What was it called again? Sunset Bird? I want to go there. It sounds peaceful. Oh, Lizzie. Jamie, Cove, get up. We're gonna have to race. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again. Lizzie beckoning to you with a quick hand gesture. If she was like that, you know there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot. You thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi! Hi, Cove. You can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. Wow, who made her queen bee? As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. Yeah, that's not fun. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
Aww. The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. I'm gonna stay with Cove. Really? Why? You don't have to. It's okay, I wanna watch. You moved beside him on top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you and made a face. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Lizzie needs to be put in her place, and she needs to stop telling her brother what to do. So, yeah, I'm done. I'm not listening to her anymore. She's rude. Fine, I'll be the winner, whether you join or not. Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down.
Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go. Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speeds towards the bottom of the hill. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, his eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. Go, go, go! They were both neck and neck until about halfway down the hill. Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air. I won! Almost immediately, he fell back onto the ground, still dizzy from his roll from down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and brushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad, you got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Kids, it's time to come in. No. You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. You caught Cove's eyes and saw that he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side, down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you all had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. Well, that's good. I'm glad everybody had a good time. Oh, do we get to do every moment? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, so we could end the summer early, or we can actually play through all the moments. Oh, that's a lot of moments, though. Oh, let's see. You know what? I don't want to ruin the game for anybody else, and I don't want to do all the moments. So, I'm going to do the ones I think I would be interested in. So, I did the fireflies. I think I will do... I think I want to do the long day next. I don't really know. Give me a moment. I'll think about it. Let's take a 5-minute break while we're at it. Why not, right? Okay, I'll be right back. I'm actually really enjoying this so far. I want to see. I want to see the ending. I want to know more. Like I want to get to the good stuff. So, I guess you can do multiple moments if you want to. I think I'm going to do. I want to know what the grown-up is. Okay, here we go. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your mums had left the two of you alone, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mummy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animal. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Oh dear. Since we're stuck inside anyway, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. There's always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play. Why though? I said why. And it'll be fun, duh. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove. Jamie, what do you think? Do you want to? Cove said it. Doesn't sound fun. Come on! Neither of you have had one single idea all day. You could tell that Lizzie wasn't about to give in anytime soon. It just kind of sounds like she wants to play, like, Mummy and be the boss of everybody, right? Fine. Oh no, Cove is caving. With her victory against Cove under her belt, Lizzie turned to you triumphant. I'll try it, but it sounds boring. It's not going to be, I guarantee. Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you can only sigh. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Jamie, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. Like, duh. And we have to play sports as adults. Yep. But there's other kind of sports too. It isn't the same. What do you think, Jamie? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? Isn't there anything else we can be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Oh, she's a stomper. She doesn't get her way, so she's gonna stomp. Somebody has been spoiled. Nope. Come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. He thought over the list of possibilities. Beach volleyball, gymnast, or tennis. Out of all of them, you would prefer to play... beach volleyball, I guess. If you couldn't spend the afternoon at the beach for real, then you might as well pretend you were there. True. You could even wear your swimsuit to make it seem more realistic, as though Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now that she had you here. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be the volleyball player. Alright. How about you, Cove? Oh, I was gonna pick volleyball. Oh, I'm sorry, Cove. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. You guys can't be the same thing. That's not how it works. You didn't say that. The rule is picking from the list. You can't keep adding more. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to lose in this battle, but not the war. Fine, you're both volleyball players, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. The Olympic team. What? We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific. That's what makes it fun, anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. Lizzie kind of reminds me of my stepsister when she used to play Monopoly with me and my stepbrother. She had this, like, she only did it while playing Monopoly. Let me get that straight. She only did it while playing Monopoly, but she had this, like, high tendency of, like, being really good at it. And then every time we landed on her thing, she would use her name and be like, "Welcome to blah 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 motel, now give me money." Like, she just had this snobby attitude about it, and it was hilarious when you look back on it. But at the time, when you're little, it was so frustrating and annoying. I think there was at one point we were just like, we're not gonna play Monopoly with her anymore. And if you're watching this, I am so sorry I just said that story out loud, but it's what I thought of, okay? Lizzie marched back and forth in front of both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all the gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Of course they are. Of course you won all the gold medals. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is. It's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Your team placed at silver. It's more real if we're not all first place. Oh my. Okay, yeah, totally. We could do better than silver. You pouted at Lizzie, unhappy with the decision. Jamie's right. Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them the breaks. Then you are the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback at Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way, it wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invincible ball. She has a massive ego. I would like to know how she was raised. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he lived as an adult appealed to him. Apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm gonna live on the beach. Oh, okay. That's a change of pace. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like the normal houses here with a street on it. Right on the sand, by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cope narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. I really hope by the end of this he actually like lives on the beach with like a hut or something, or a tent. Maybe he'll be like a tent wilderness hippie kind of boy. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? Jeez. Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here, and far away from you. One with an indoor pool, and a place to practice my award-winning golfing. How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling in the fists at her sides. It is not impossible. It's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. It kind of does. But when it came to the topic at hand this time, you thought, to be honest, I'm tired of deciding between either of them. You didn't engage with their bickering and instead dreamt up your own dream house. And you weren't going to share your idea with them either. You already knew it was a good one. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. Cope makes a lot of points. Like, she just thinks because she's practicing golf now that she's going to be a pro golfer when she's older and that she'll make tons of money and live in a mansion. And isn't the whole point of being that age and playing imaginary is to just come up with ideas that your subconscious actually wants in the future? Doesn't have to be realistic. Fuck, you can live on a space shuttle. Like, you had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Yay, Mom! Lizzie rushed to her, hanging onto the hem of her skirt and poking out her tongue at Cope. How old is Lizzie? Like 10? Lizzie! Jamie! It's time to get ready to go. Sorry, you have to leave already, Cope. Their mummy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cope was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But without giving Mum a chance to stop him, Cope stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. Okay? Worried, Mum turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? Oh, I'm totally telling the truth. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mum put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth, I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cope and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Oh. I actually kind of feel bad for her now, like... I wonder if, like, deep down inside she's actually a good person and she feels like putting off this persona of having an attitude is kind of like giving her a confident boost or something, and maybe that's what makes her act this way. I don't know. Alright, we better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to the golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in the mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you would like to listen to. I'll pick a song. I kind of hurt Lizzie's feelings, so I'll pick one that will cheer her up. You're happy to see it brighten her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Yay! Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. We gotta remember, we're all still so young, right? I don't want to take sides, and I don't want to be mean to either character. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you can tell she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. Oh, maybe she will become a pro golfer. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had been going to ever since you could remember. Such a good family. Oh, after any event, take your kids out to dinner. That way you don't have to go home and cook, right? The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting you hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all of this helped Lizzie be less angry. She needs anger management. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from the silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew that was coming. Oh, she knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Oh. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke. Only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Oh yeah, she's dragging it out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips. Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Co can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or throw up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded only once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You know, I didn't like doing it, but I had to. Seeing a tattletale didn't feel good, and you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Still, your mom had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. This is just awkward. Like, you should just put the one kid off onto the sofa or, like, turn on the TV or something. They don't have to be here for that. You remember the number for Co's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began the dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She had turned on the speaker. Oh, no. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mummy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove? Lizzie? What a surprise! But of course you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Ooh, Mom's mad. Hi, Cliff. Jamie and I are here too. Everybody's here, basically. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. Hi, Mr. Holden. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mummy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's gonna be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We are hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove? A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when he came home. It does explain the funk he's been in, though, tonight. Chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided, since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad. Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away. Oh, I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You can tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She feels guilty. That's really what it is. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too because he sighed quietly. I want gold. Oh, we're back to that argument. I want gold. Okay. Yeah, I could totally see that. Lizzie was stunned, silent by the demand. You can understand why he did it. You had wanted gold too. All right, you win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of release washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mama uncrossed her arms while Mummy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wonder if she thought that he would refuse her apologies. Well, it's possible. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really. Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up. All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mum replied, Lizzie tugged on Mummy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too? Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing. Mum flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind Mom and Mummy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what it was about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, but probably still won't. But they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mummy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Nice. You know what? Let's just do all the moments. Why not, right? It doesn't say I can't. No, you know what? We'll do one more. Which one? Let's do the shopping. Come back before it gets dark, alright, sport? The familiar voice drifts across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you've been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off of his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when you first met Mr. Holden, although he probably is not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Cove's dad is really attractive. Like surfer boy, kind of attractive. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. Oh, he's gonna offer me money to go shopping or something. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've gotta learn how to become more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free them of sand, then jogged over to join the two of them. Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Jamie? Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's a lot of snails around here. Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Cove was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why not you go with him? You shrugged. Cove was in the process of making a similar motion. You didn't have anything else to do, and you hadn't been to the stores in a few days. Maybe there was something new to look at. Maybe. Is that okay? I was going by myself, but I guess it is. You don't have to. Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd, since your mom only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Why does this guy have so much cash? Here, see? Giving me money. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Sure. That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up. The bill in his hand still held out towards the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Whew. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. This is making me want to go to the beach. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand. Oh, throw the sand a little, and you slow down the weight for him. His eyes search the ground intently. Are you looking for shells? Cove startled a little at the sound of your voice, mumbled, sort of. If you see any, can you let me know? You can manage that. You dropped your view to the sand, walking carefully so you didn't step on any. You were good at finding shells. You had a lot of them at home, and always found new ones whenever you visited the beach. The comforting sound of waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times. Although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. He thinks we're weird. Oh, he wants a new sand pail. What happened to your old one? It disappeared. That's odd. What? Really? Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged his arm. How did that happen? Well, Cove opened his mouth and shut it again, considering. I took it to the beach one day. Uh-huh. When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. Okay. You left it there? No, it wasn't at the beach when I went back. Then you lost it. It disappeared. What about you? What do you do out here? I like building sandcastles. Last summer, Lizzie and I built one that was as tall as me. And sometimes I have sandcastle building competitions down by the boardwalk. Cool, I bet you could win. He smiled at Cove. Maybe the two of you would build one together one day. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day. The call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of sale people trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but now there were other scents too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donut. What is a hot donut? Like, just fresh donuts? Or is that actually a thing, like a hot donut? It's nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you. There was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Cove always seems a little depressed. Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with a large, colorful umbrella blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what was all the commotion about. Amazing Alexander. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander. In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with cloth hanging over it that read, "The Amazing Alexander," in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on the sign? Cove hummed with understanding, then turned turned to walk away just as the amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. Maybe we could stay and watch? Cove glanced back at the man. He then briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them to place. You grinned, waving for him to follow you as you raced back to the stand in the crowd. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. He did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared. Whoa. The amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? You tell me. This had to be going somewhere, and you needed to find out. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer. It was great! That's just odd. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. What? You knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't know how it had been done. There was a light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down onto his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. And one for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant. Wow. Now you're really grateful. Grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. If so, he was lucky. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. I'll pick one out. Oh, these are cool. You shifted your balloon string to your other hand so you could bring the mystery tunnel to your eye. The whole palette of colors appeared right in front of you, spinning into all kinds of different shapes as you twisted the end of the tube. Cove picked up one and looked through, twisting the tube at the end. After a second, he set it back on the rack, moving to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. I'm gonna ask him if he's having fun. Cove didn't answer straight away, and after a few more moments, you thought he wasn't going to say anything at all. A little. When Cove moved towards some stalls nearby, you followed beside him. Ooh. While Cove looked at sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laying down on it. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read handmade standing proudly in front of it. I'll pick up the dolphin. You remembered once seeing a pod of dolphins swimming out in the distance at the beach, jumping out of the water and splashing as they dived back in. That was a great day. You were instantly... Ooh, $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh. It's $6. I didn't bring any money. It's fine. What? No, you don't have to. Aw, Cove didn't mind that. He took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too. My dad told me to. Ow. You smiled, pleased to have things worked out. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you, too. You had to remember to thank him next time you saw him. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side. Your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watch Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove. Yeah. You know, I really like this keychain. Thank you. Cove shrugged, looking at the sea creature with impassive eyes. Cove looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all of this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's get some food. Yeah. Everything looked delicious and has the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you. Your stomach growled even louder. After passing out hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamony, and you? I got one with chocolate. Yeah, tiny marshmallows on it, and it was dripping with chocolate, just how you liked it. Your mom didn't like you to eat too much sugar, but this was a special occasion. It's because they're not around. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit on. Oh, horrible. These balloons are going to make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at a steel balled up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist. Oh. Yay, we made him happy. Can you do it for me? He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast, restricting his fingers on the one hand, and his string already tangled around the other. I got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzels. Nice. After a time you finished your pretzels. You were done before Cove. It was boring not to have anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned the face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves, like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. Mine's name is Sam. They're just a regular dolphin. You sighed, thinking about how great it would be to have a pet dolphin of your own. What's yours? Cove considered this question, placing the balloon against the table, resting his free arm across it in contemplation. It's... With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. The ribbons? Oh. Oh no! For a second, all Cove did was gap in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw the tears start to glisten. Aww. Here. You can have my balloon instead if you want it. I don't want yours. I'm just trying to be nice. Oh. You felt bad for Cove, but were secretly glad. You really liked the little dolphin and weren't too eager to give it up. Cove spent the rest of the outing sniffling and didn't say much. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sail pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been nice, for the most part. Hopefully there wouldn't be any tears next time. I don't get why he didn't take my balloon. I was just trying to be nice. Alright, and with that, we are going to take another break. And when I come back, we are going to end this summer. Alright, another day where it's like boiling outside today. Anyway, we're back. We're not gonna do every moment. So we're gonna end the summer. Oh, wait. Maybe say it one more time before we do that. Alright. End the summer. And yes, I'm sure. I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms and Lizzie as the four of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. By the way, y'all, this is the last hour I will be streaming today. Today is my anniversary with my fiance, so I'm going to spend some time with him. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. We need to get out more. He didn't really do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out? 'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear. There's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mummy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Ugh, Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. You know what? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna throw out my best puppy dog eyes. Oh, don't look at me like that. Like what? Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well... Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug and you knew that they were very close to victory. Alright. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside. Understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. As so much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet, the pins and trinkets. Or maybe the playground. Or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Don't I get a say in this? Lizzie looked over at you, narrowing her eyes like she was very seriously contemplating the answer to your question? A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Ooh. Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? No, the weather does not care. That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mothers had gone. I guess she decided she's going home? Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. That's true. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing down the road. I'm gonna stay outside. You watched Lizzie run off, twisting her lips as you considered what to do. In the end, the pretty sky and the soothing sound of waves won out. You strayed off the path, grinning at the feel of sand quickly filling the empty spaces in your flip-flops. That was fun for a while, but you grew bored eventually. How else could you enjoy the remainder of your time at the beach? Seashells. Yeah, there we go. Look for seashells. You walk to the shoreline, peering at any debris that washed up. Most of it is just seaweed, rocks, trash. Though now and then you do spot a seashell. Yay! You picked up the ones that stood out to you until you had a nice little collection. It was a great evening, but soon enough you had your fill and were ready to join the rest of the family back home. Not too much farther down, you spot a familiar green head of hair. Yes, I kind of had a feeling if I stayed outside I would bump into him. I'm gonna go see what he's up to. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back and tossed it out into the water. It was a good toss. That was pretty neat. I'll look for my own rock. Cove jumped a little when he noticed you, and he gave a shrug and a smile, realizing you was sort of forgotten to announce yourself. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face. Why is this kid always so sad? It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. Oh, okay. True. When do you get it off? Cove shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. That is a while away. I'll sympathize. Sympathize? No, whatever. You hoped the upcoming weeks flew by for Cove. It was clear how badly he wanted it off. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement. Regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'd be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad says something about that. So why don't you want to go? It's nice as far as schools go. You only have ever been to one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew him to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet. Aww. You weren't sure what to do. It felt weird just to leave him here crying. But what could you say that would help? You frowned a little, starting to stand. Okay, well, bye then. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right, Cove wanted to go back to his old home, the one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down in the sand, trying to consider what to do. Do you hate it here? You're not gonna leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. Of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you're going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fine. Cove smiled, then looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that it would feel better than then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. He spared a glance over at Cove and saw the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the wave. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. Oh shoot, I'm late again, aren't I? You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Had you guys really been sitting out here that long? You stood, dusted the sand off yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet open no. Okay. When you smiled, Cove returned the favor with one of his own. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. Aww. The summer. No, not the end of summer. In between. Ooh. So what? School year? I'm confused. Why am I back at the main character screen? I don't get it. Do I get to change my look a little bit? I don't know. There. Good enough. Oh, my feelings. What does even direct even mean? You know, I think I'm fond of him. Yeah. I like him. He's a good kid. Yeah, we're not changing that at all. We're gonna leave it. August ended, September began. It was time to go back to school. Boo. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign that Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. True. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from the other kids. From what you saw, anyway. Originally, he treated you like everyone else, passing by as if you didn't know each other, but as the years went on, the two of you acknowledged each other more and more. A friendship had started to grow. Yay, friendship! That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. At first, you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too, for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He has said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Okay. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. You weren't sure how well it worked in changing Cove's thoughts on the town, yet it might have been part of the reason you and Cove ended up growing closer. Probably. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him. Nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. Still, you worried about him. You could tell he wasn't completely happy. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. I hope so. After that, it felt like some things had gone back to normal. Except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old, so it's been 5 years. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. I could just imagine. How old would she be then? The 13. Would be 15 or 16, so she probably even had more of an attitude. She might be on the cheerleading squad at this point. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. Interesting. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in the class for 2 years in a row. Cove probably held that spot again. Will probably hold that spot again. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he began opening up more too. You saw him talking with other kids or neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit that neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. Aw, where did he go? He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. Aw, bye Shiloh. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was insoluble for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her Mummy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for that word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too, so she insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth. So you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age, so she probably is on the cheerleading squad. Okay. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was Cove's dad struck up. Oh, what happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Swatsy was happy to let Derek take along to his work if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed in small and big ways. You had too. Okay. Well, I would hope so. I already forget how old I am again. 13? 13. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. Ooh, we get a whole new bedroom. Nice. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from the harsh rays. To be more specific, we were what? What were we? You know what? Wide awake, about to head out and enjoy our time off this summer. You made sure to slather on a generous amount of sunscreen so you didn't get burnt, which in the last 3 days with the heat and the sun the way it's been, I've already been burning again. You were looking in the mirror, studying the clothes you've thrown on, when your bedroom door opened without warning. Ooh, rude. I'm a teenage boy. Don't open the door. In the reflection, you saw Elizabeth's raised an eyebrow. Have you been staring at yourself this whole morning? Yeah, could you knock next time? She ignored that, crossing her arms over her chest with a disgruntled expression. Clearly, she hadn't come in just to see you. Mom told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him. Say thanks, or, whatever. So come down already. I'll be there when I'm there. Elizabeth rolled her eyes and laughed, having done what was instructed of her. Good for you, listening to your mother. Now, alone, you focus on the mirror once again. You know what? Let's just go with you're an average height. Cove was really tall, Derek was kind of short, and you were pretty much the exact height that someone would expect from a 13-year-old. Nah, I'll be self-conscious about it. It's gonna help it feel awkward with the body you had. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit, recommending on your situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cope was up to, so this worked in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. Chill. Can't you tell? Step 2, second change. I think that's what that said. Second chance. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was pursuing through. Morning, Mom. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face. Good morning, Jamie. Thank you for coming down. Mom's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Mom was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder. Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Mom reached forward, and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average, so you're a little in her eyes, despite being a typical size of your own age. You know what? We'll be playful. We'll push her hand back and laugh. Mom could be so ridiculous, you thought, but that was okay. Ah, you're the last one down today. You know that. Life isn't a race, Mom. Funny. I don't think that excuse will work if you're late for anyone other than your mother, though. She makes a point. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remember, exactly how you came to know him to be. I want to know what he looks like as a preteen. Oh, he's like the poetic boy. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in our doorway, as the longer strands of his hair idly drift with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was a carefully cut fruit. Kind of like these characters. Fruit. Oh no. Okay. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at the showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. True. That kind of arrangement was built for presentation, like likely to impress whoever was going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived there, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. Cove smiled slightly at the sight of you. The sting of his goofy errand, he was clearly embarrassed to be honest. Hey, Jamie. You earnestly grinned back. It wasn't weird at all, like it used to be when you were kids. As time passed, the two of you started to enjoy each other's company. Now you actually considered him a good friend, and not someone you were forced to be around by your families. Hey, it's nice to see you. Yeah, you too. And you were certain he meant that. It was already shaping up to be another long summer with plenty of time for the two of you to have fun together. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. With that, the gift was accepted. I hope you and your family like this. It's a pretty good gift. I think so, anyway. He smiled. Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from. Thank you. Ooh. See, that seems like pushing it. Thank you. Could you tell your dad we love the gift? Yeah. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you've ever had. Though after 5 years, you're used to his antics, and you since made up your mind on what your opinion was. Whoa, okay. I'm sorry, but at 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, that would not even be crossing your mind yet. You would not be thinking somebody's dad was handsome. Like, come on, let's be honest. Nobody would be thinking, "Oh yeah, your dad is handsome," or would they? I don't know. It'd be kind of weird. I wasn't like that. Not at that age, anyway. Um, he is a good looking guy though. But yeah, the guy was great. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are! There you are. You shared a confused look with Cove both of you, as one, both of you stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. You hadn't expected to see Derek today, though you never really knew when he would appear. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin. Hey, my guys. Oh, ooh. Somebody tells me he's gonna be one of those, like, jocks, like, we'll stereotype it a little bit, eh? Hey, my guys. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured to be at Jamie's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just over here? Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and gasped. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure, then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made of fruit. Nice. Can I have some? Maybe you can have some later? Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Awesome. Then he nodded his head, as if to clear it. Gotta get the fruit out of my head. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. Something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through? Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him? Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked. Slowly you looked over to your longtime neighbor. Yeah, that's exactly what he looked like 5 years ago. That sounds a lot like Yuko when you first got here anyway. It kind of does, doesn't it? That's weird. He sounded almost fond, a small smile playing on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well, now that you say so. But what do you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him. I'll do it. Sure, I want to see who the person is. Derek grinned, then he pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery... Last I saw... I can't do it now. Last I... For some reason, we just turned into like a 30-year-old Texan man. Last time I saw him... Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off, with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. I wonder if the playground's actually there or if it's, like, fallen apart. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of sun. He scruffled around, picking up the sand as he paced. It was true, he certainly seemed upset. But you didn't think he was sad, like you had originally pictured. No, with his erotic movements and scrumped up expression, he came off angry. You started to have doubts about his expectation. Maybe it's better if you left him alone and let him sort it out himself? Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey, guy, over there! Oh, he... Oh, okay. The kid whipped around, an impressive scrawl carving deeper onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong, hostile energy still radiated from him. What? What is it? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. Yeah, that sounded angry. What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it? Uh, no, I'm Derek. That's Jamie and Cole. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. I did the wrong voice. Oh my god. Okay. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. Yeah. So, it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by our response. If steam could erupt from a person's ear, it would have happened. They did bring me somewhere stupid, of course. I knew it. What? My parents. They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own? Right. My dad brings me the Sunset Bird too, when he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not that bad. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time, a chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come and see them. Nah. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too? That just says it all. I guess. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff, turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they care so much and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid? Who peed in your cereal this morning? Jeremy's lips curled as his face contorted from anger to horror. Why would you think something like that? It's disgusting. It's just an expression. He took a deep breath. He thought for one hopeful second that maybe he was calming himself down, but he wasn't. So what? You're putting it in people's heads? I don't want to have to think about that. And someone's brainless might decide it's a good idea and actually do it. There are some real stupids out in the world, You're all living proof of that. Ooh. God, he's mean. Hey. I'm not stupid. You first. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed. Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove's cheek flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger or both. Come on. I got your back, Cove. Okay, I'm sorry your eyebrows are so terrible. Oh, I'm done. With your fists balled, you made a quick step forward. Yeah, he was ready. He was the one who started things. I'm ending them. He made it clear that words wouldn't work, leading you to resort to action. You weren't sure what would happen, but you couldn't let this stand. Uh, Derek and Cove jumped in to stop you before you reached him. They each grabbed you by the arm. Still, Jeremy insistently scrambled backwards. You practically fell over. Good. If that's all you can do about what I'm saying, it's just proving I'm right. You're brainless. You were annoyed the other two were against you on this and got in the way, though. Though the reaction you had been able to get was still worth it. Wow, what is wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only patronized Derek's words and then, God. Oh, I want to beat his ass. I really do. I'm still trying to process what happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Sounds like it. Derek sighed in dismay. Hopping onto the ground, you followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do. This sucks. I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. He said he used to hand the point right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. Why did we bring the fruit to the beach? You completely forgotten about it during the mini drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. Why not? Let's eat it. Derek looked up immediately at your words. He reached out for the skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away. No, I'm not sure, but we're gonna eat it anyway. You nodded with an eager grin. He plucked out a prime row of fruit. Cove grabbed one for himself. Only you were without a skewer of your own. I don't get any fruit? Oh wait, I need to take one. Okay, strawberry. This is amazing. It's not different than any other normal fruit. It's kind of worse. These have been out in the open with their skins off for a while. Sheesh. Hey, you two remember the Land Before Time? That fruit thing that makes me think of? The dinosaurs are all like leaves that were shaped like stars. The dinosaurs all like leaves that were shaped like stars. True. Tree stars. Yeah, chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did. And there was the scene with the pretty trees and all the dinosaurs came in and picked up everything off them. Till there was nothing. That's us, right? Now? That's us right now? Awesome. Eating leaves look good. Should I worry about you? You snickered. No, I'm not gonna do it for real, but I did pretend I was a long neck when I ate broccoli one time. Oh no. The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually the display was barren. It looked weird when when devoid of fruit. Oh. Oops. Hey, we weren't supposed to eat all of it. Yeah, oops. Really? You couldn't stop yourself from sighing at the boys. You wanted to eat some and have a nice time. Now you're probably gonna get in trouble. You can only accept it though. Hey Jamie. Yeah. The two of you guys met eyes casually. Were you seriously gonna hit that guy? Well, he had it coming. Jamie, that's so bad. I thought it was cool. Oh, yay. He thought it was cool. Yay! You're both crazy people. You knew when Derek said things like that, it wasn't serious. He liked you, Ango. Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh. So are you both ready for summer break? Oh yeah. I am. Cool on you. Wish I could say the same. Feels like there's a lot to plan for. What about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Oh no. It's my sister. Alright. We are going to pick this up next week. We're going to leave this right exactly where it is right now. And we will continue next week. I hope you guys have enjoyed so far. I'm sorry about earlier this morning when the computer malfunctioned. But, you know, technology, I don't know why it crashed. It crashed twice today. But for the last 3 hours, it's been working perfectly fine. So who knows? Anyway, I hope you guys had a good time today. We'll continue the story next week. Make sure to tune in for tomorrow's night feed if you want. So yeah, I'll be streaming every night. Just make sure to check out my schedule. And see you guys around.